Guys, welcome to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Welcome back here, or I welcome myself back as I took the weekend off. I am back now here. Happy Monday, everybody. And let's look at the 24-hour here precipitation map here across the area. You can see a lot of precipitation, a lot of rainfall here did fall across south central portions of here Oklahoma, getting up through northwest Arkansas into Missouri and down into Texas here. A couple of areas, they got a couple inches of rain. The bullseye, though, across south central portions there of Oklahoma, where they did pick up 2 to 4+ inches of rain in a narrow swath here just south of the Oklahoma City metro area here across the Fort Sill area, Lawton, Oklahoma, and getting up here towards portions of eastern Oklahoma as well. So in this video, I'll be talking about here more of the storm system coming up this week here, kind of moving off the Atlantic coast with some lingering severe weather here as we head through here the rest of the week. And then looking at late week into the weekend, another here weather maker that'll be producing some more severe weather across the middle of the country. And then kind of looking longer range here, all the way at the 3 to 4 day temperature and precipitation outlook here that the Climate Prediction Center does have. And I'll kind of give you my thoughts on that here as we move into our month of May. I'll also have my May outlook here as we head into here later this week. So do want to stick around for that here, as I'll have a lot of here output on the late spring and early summer preview as we head into late this week rather. But as we head through today, there are some here alerts that we need to get to and show you here. We got some freeze warnings across southern and eastern Iowa, much of north central and western Illinois, getting into northern Missouri and even back into northeast Kansas. That is due to that trough continuing to push down to the south with that cold front that moved through, and a lot of cooler temperatures across the area, some growing here vegetation across these areas. And the National Weather Services here in Chicago, the Quad Cities, Des Moines, Iowa, getting down toward Kansas City area, did want to prompt that freeze warnings for those areas due to the fact that there's some growing vegetation. The farmers are getting into the fields now here with planting some corn and some beans in some of those areas, and they did want to, and also some people that may be here early flower people that here, planted early across these areas, did want to give them a heads up that there is a freeze potential, a hard freeze across those areas as we head into tonight. Well, you can see that here as that cold front did come through. That is moving across the Ohio Valley region all the way down through the Tennessee Valley and into the southern plains. Ahead of that, a lot of warm temperatures, 70s, well into the 80s, and even got some lower 90s down here in Florida, well ahead of that front. But behind the front here, you got temperatures all the way up in the northern plains into the lower 30s, upper 20s for highs, and then here down around the Chicago area where those freeze warnings are, mid 50s for highs there, getting back toward Des Moines here, upper 40s, near 50 for highs, and then even down toward the Phoenix area here, still in the low to mid 90s here, a little bit of a cool off from the last few days. Then where these freeze warnings kind of come into effect across these areas, you can see upper 20s, lower 30s, and that'll be a hard freeze for those areas here with the sensitive vegetation across the upper Midwest here, getting in towards the Great Lakes region. A lot of even colder temperatures across North Dakota, getting into South Dakota and Minnesota, where temperatures will be here regularly into the teens and low 20s across those areas. While areas in the southeast here ahead of that cold front, lows are going to be well into the 50s and even into the mid and upper 60s, so some pretty warm temperatures across those areas. Now, as we headed through the day today, we do have a day one categorical outlook. The Storm Prediction Center has outlooked areas from the Ohio Valley and the western portions of the New England area, all the way down through the Tennessee Valley, the Mid-South, and in the Southern Plains for a marginal risk, a level 1 of 5 for severe weather. There is a slight tornado here risk up into portions of western New York State, northwestern Pennsylvania, and eastern Ohio. That is a 2%. Still very low chance here. It's kind of a little closer to where that surface low is, where you have a little bit of that enhanced spin. And then you got that wind risk here that goes along with that marginal risk zone, like I said, from the western New England areas down through Ohio and Tennessee valleys and the Mid-South, and then getting down here into the southern plains toward the Mexican border down here into South Texas. And then here, the hail risk is going to be more confined into central and southern Texas and parts of eastern Texas here as we head into today. A little bit of higher instability across those areas as we head into this afternoon. Now, late afternoon, most of the storm coverage here will be ongoing here across portions of the mid-south into the southern plains. Some thunderstorm activity across the central and southern Texas. That'll continue to kind of slowly meander its way to the east and southeast. And then you can see kind of some broken lines of line segments and some supercells embedded in here, potentially here from portions of the western New England area, getting down through the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, and getting down through the Gulf Coast states and the southern plains as we head here through the evening. Then these storms will kind of fall apart here after sunset as the kind of the boundary layer across most of these areas will start to stabilize here, and storms will start to kind of fall apart across those areas as well. Now, looking at where the storms will be most concentrated from central and southern Texas on over into most of Louisiana, southern portions of Arkansas, and western Mississippi, from the Jackson, Mississippi area back towards Shreveport, Alexandria, Louisiana, getting back here towards the Austin, Texas area, Houston, and then getting over towards College Station, Texas, and then getting down to southern Texas, kind of just west of the Corpus Christi area. Kind of day one excessive rainfall outlook, 5 to 10% chance here, a marginal risk of flash flooding across these areas from central and southern and eastern Texas, and getting over into portions here of Louisiana, western Mississippi, and far southern portions there of Arkansas as we head into tonight. And you can see that here. The reason why that is the case here, the next 24 hours, so we're predicting here about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall here. The Weather Prediction Center is predicting here some pretty decent rainfall across portions of south central and eastern Texas, getting into Louisiana. A little less rainfall here is predicted across portions of the Ohio Valley up into the western New England, but in general here, about 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch of rain can be expected here kind of along that cold front as it slowly continues to sag off to the east and southeast. When we look ahead, we kind of scroll through the next few days here, a lot of quiet weather continuing. And then as we head into our Friday, into the day on Saturday, we have a slight risk or 15% risk zone here from southern portions of Nebraska getting down into central and eastern Kansas, central and eastern Oklahoma, into far north Texas. This does include areas here around the Denton area, getting over towards McKinney, Texas, just to the north of Dallas-Fort Worth, Wichita Falls, Oklahoma City, getting over toward Tulsa, and then getting up to Wichita, Kansas, and Topeka, Kansas, Salina, Kansas area, and then getting up into far southern portions there of Nebraska. This is on Friday, the Storm Prediction Center's outlook shows. And that is due to another storm system, another shortwave trough that'll be continuing to kind of push in from the south. We got a trough digging in from the here north and west, and then we got a shortwave that'll be coming in here off the Baja of California, and those will kind of merge as we head into late week. But you can see on Wednesday, very quiet across the country. We got a little bit of some precipitation across the northeast with some lingering snow showers and some rain showers as well. Maybe some rain showers here possible into South Texas and into portions there of the Florida Panhandle, and maybe a little sprinkle activity here across portions of the Pacific Northwest. But all in all, very quiet Wednesday here weather-wise across the entire contiguous United States. So that is some welcome news after a very busy week of severe weather. Then as we head into Thursday, we got around early morning hours toward midday, we got another low pressure system kind of moving in with a little bit of a short wave and some energy pushing in, and we got some showers, maybe a few embedded thunderstorms across here. Not looking at anything too severe, but can't rule out an isolated severe threat with this here as some of these storms bubble up into the peak heating of the afternoon. But it's Friday. Friday's the day where I'm watching here. We got a low pressure system here developing around here the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles, kind of on the lee side of the Rockies. We'll have a developing dry line across these zones. Could have some elevated thunderstorms well ahead of the storm system here with kind of the energy impulse from Thursday. But then we'll have a short wave here come in from the south here, the kind of a southern stream short wave push up here from portions of Texas and along that dry line. And you can clearly see a lot of warm temperatures here will be pushing into those areas, 70s, 80s, even into the 90-degree mark down into central Texas. So plenty of fuel for those storms. We got winds coming in out of the south and southeast, pumping in all that western Gulf moisture. And you can see dew points rising well into the 60s here, upper 50s, low 60s, all the way up here into portions of south central portions of Nebraska, getting into northwest Missouri, lower 60s across east central Kansas into western Missouri, and then mid to upper 60 dew points here into east central Oklahoma, western Arkansas, getting it down into east central portions there of Texas as well. And then you got that very potent dry line here. You got a lot of dry air behind it, dew points in the teens, 20s, and 30s. And then ahead of that, like I said, 50s, 60s, even near 70-degree dew points cannot be ruled out as we head into late Friday afternoon. Like I said, you got another kind of a broad trough trying to develop across the northern states. A lot of cooler air here kind of being filtered up there. So maybe a little bit more snow on the backside of the system once again, unfortunately, for some of the northern plains states. But then we got a short wave here kind of in the southern streams starting to push up here into portions of Texas. Where those meet, that is where we're going to see that here kind of low pressure system develop here on the southern side of that trough, and here on the northern side of that southern stream shortwave, and that is where we're going to see here that interaction between the two, and that's why the Storm Prediction Center has gone out and put a 15% or slight risk zone, a level 2 out of 5 for Friday already here on their day 5 outlook. You can see the reason why, too. We got a very strong, potent, sharpening dry line here across the central plains, getting down to the southern plains, and that just along and immediately ahead of that here dry line, we do have instability values already being shown on the midday GFS run today, already up to around 3,000 joules per kilogram. So that is some pretty strong destabilization across the area. And then we do have a cap, but that cap will be moving off to the east here, kind of getting punched through with this dry line. This dry line will be strong enough to produce here, get that cap to get removed very quickly off the atmosphere. So the cap shouldn't be too much of an issue on Friday, more so on Thursday. But on Friday, I do think here with storms should be able to go. The surface-based lifted index is pretty, high to extreme into portions here of central and eastern Kansas, getting down to the Oklahoma City metro area and down towards the Dallas area. Definitely seeing here a lot of that lift along that potent dry line, where you got all that dry air behind the dry line, and then you got all that moist, warm air ahead of it. And where you get those two to meet, you got a lot of that upward air motion here with all those air parcels that want to rise, and you get some strong updrafts with those thunderstorms. The supercell composites, I'm seeing already some values up near 30 across portions here of central and eastern Kansas, and even some decent values from 10 to 20s down here into portions of central and eastern Oklahoma, getting down into far north Texas. And this is several days out, so we'll have to see how this works out, but still some high values, especially in Kansas and Oklahoma, as we head to this time frame here on Friday. Now, I did want to take a sounding here near the Oklahoma City, Oklahoma area. Now, the sounding could change in the coming days here with new model data, but I did want to show you today's run already showing a possible hazard tag of tornado, a decent hodograph here across the area as well, seeing a lot of here analogs that are kind of matching what this event looks like, and you do see that D-Cape almost up to 1,500, so these storms could be enough to produce some here strong microburst and downburst winds well over 70 miles per hour. You got that surface-based cape here on the sounding approaching extreme levels, over 4,000 joules per kilogram. In the mixed layer, over 3,000 joules per kilogram as well. So some pretty strong cape values across this area. You got the winds coming in out of the south and south-southeast, and then you go a few hundred to 1,000 feet up here, you have winds coming out of the south and west here, and changing direction and speed with height as well. And then you go up into the mid-levels, winds will be coming here out of the west with those westerlies here coming in with that shear here with that low-level jet as we push into our Friday. So I'll show you this on the composite reflectivity. Late Friday afternoon, thunderstorms here are not really bubbling up quite yet. The heating of the day commencing here, and then we have some thunderstorms really starting to explode here, especially closer to that low into portions of southern Nebraska, getting down to Kansas and Oklahoma. The GFS doesn't get too excited on development just due to the cap it was showing, but I do think development will continue all the way down into Oklahoma and North Texas here as we head into Friday evening, and we could have some supercells with tornadoes included here. All severe hazards are likely as we head into that time frame, so we'll have to watch that. And then this will continue to kind of push off to the east toward the Midwest, into the mid-Mississippi Valley and Ohio Valley as we head towards Saturday. Saturday, we got a lot of warm air starting to push up from the south here, some 60s and 50s here being pushed and pulled up here to the north, some 70s developing into Arkansas, getting back here into Louisiana, eastern portions of Oklahoma, getting down to northeast Texas. A lot of those, the winds coming out of the south and south-southeast pulling in that moisture here. We got a narrow reservoir of, dew points in the 50s and 60s, but here's some decent values down here into Texas. Look at the dry line the GFS is showing in Texas. Now, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you could have dew points in the mid to upper 60s. You go over to Lubbock, Texas, and the dew points are into the teens and 20s. I mean, there's a pretty significant change, and that is going to lift here, provide the lift for those updrafts, and you could have some pretty strong thunderstorms. So we'll have to monitor that here across those areas as we head towards Saturday as well, because Saturday very well could have a risk included here in the coming days, so we'll have to watch that. So like I said, a very strong low pressure system will develop across the central plains. That will continue to swing on to the east with a strong cold front here as we head through Saturday. And you can already see, if several days out, the Cape Valley is already approaching here 2,500 to almost 3,000 in portions of central and southern Texas, and then kind of nosing its way up through the mid-south and into portions of the western Tennessee River Valley, the western Ohio River Valley, and up into the mid-Mississippi Valley as well, with those dew points rising, those temperatures rising, and here you get the instability or CAPE in the atmosphere up to around 1,000 to 1,500 plus across those areas here from southern Illinois, eastern portions of Missouri, getting all the way down through most of Arkansas and into portions of northeast Texas and northern and central portions there of Louisiana. And the cap problem is not going to be too much of an issue here on Saturday. Yes, you have some cap, but with that strong dry line and that strong cold front moving in, is not going to take a lot here to get this cap moved off. So here that will continue as we head into Saturday. Lifted index pretty high, especially across south central Texas, getting into portions of Arkansas, Louisiana, western Mississippi, on up toward the Ohio River Valley area here. So a lot of lift continuing with these storms as we head into Saturday. And you got some shear kind of rounding around that low pressure system into the mid-Mississippi Valley and lower Missouri Valley regions. Not as much shear down into Texas, but here kind of a low shear but higher CAPE environment into south central Texas, and that could be enough to produce some very impressive supercell activity as we head into Saturday as well. Supercell composites, some decent values down here into south central Texas, also up into the mid-Mississippi and lower Missouri Valley's areas here as we head to Saturday afternoon peak heating. And let's show you that on the composite reflectivity. Kind of got an arcing bands of rain and thunderstorms, kind of the general garden variety storms and elevated thunderstorms, maybe some hailers up into portions of northern Illinois, into portions of Indiana, getting down into Kentucky here ahead of the main system, as we have a lot of cold air aloft here with this low pressure system. Some more snowfall on the backside here, probably into the Dakotas, getting into northwestern Nebraska here with some wraparound snowfall or some colder rains here at the very least. And yeah, ahead of that, we got the cold front here, and just ahead of that, we got some supercells. Now the GFS showing some pretty nasty supercells developing across central and southern Texas as we head into portions here of Saturday evening. So we'll have to watch that. Some big hail with those storms, with all that instability here, some big wind producers, and maybe even some tornadoes across those areas as we head into our Saturday evening as well. That low pressure system will continue to kind of meander its way to the northeast here into the Great Lakes region, with that cold front kind of extending from the Ohio Valley down through the Tennessee Valley and into the mid-south here as we head into the midday hours on Sunday. Then another broad trough and low pressure system starting to develop again here across the west coast as we head on the heels of that system here as we head to next weekend, and that will lead to the next chance of rain right on its heels as we head into early next week here, as well as the trough continues to push down here toward the Colorado Rockies, with a lot of warmer, kind of a little bit of some warmer air starting to push in right on the heels of the storm system here across the central and southern plains, and that could again set up another threat for severe weather across the central and southern plains into the mid-south and southeast as we head here into early the following week and the first week here in May. So I did want to show you this here. This is the next 120 hours or so of precipitation going all the way through the end of April. And you can see in general a lot more rainfall across south central Texas here, which is needed here due to some of the drought areas here in those areas. And then kind of inching its way up towards the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. And here portions of the southeast might see some rainfall, but not a lot here, especially into Georgia, portions of Alabama, getting to north central Florida. Not much rainfall across the desert southwest and the Four Corners. So from California, Nevada, and into the Four Corners region, don't expect too much rainfall through the rest of April here, because it's not looking to happen, at least on the here Weather Prediction Center's prediction here. And then you can see a lot more rain, a lot more snow across portions here of the northern plains, getting down here to the upper Midwest region here, providing some more precipitation anomalies, some higher anomalies here showing up across the upper Midwest and to the northern plains, kind of nosing its way down here into the lower Missouri Valley as well through the end of April. Now, looking a little longer range, this is the kind of the long range forecast from the Climate Prediction Center, their 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, showing that ridge continuing to kind of flatten across the area with the storm systems. A lot of much above average temperatures from Texas all the way down through the Gulf Coast states here as we head through. This goes all the way through Wednesday, May 4th. And you can see that a lot of cooler than normal temperatures across the west coast, up through the northern plains into the northeast here as well through that time frame. And kind of as this storm systems kind of ride around these kind of ridges across the area, kind of ridge riding storm systems here as we head into the first week or so of May, you can see that ridge will start to flatten, but we do have some above normal precipitation here expected across portions of the Tennessee, Ohio valleys into the southeast, and again up into the Pacific Northwest. We're underneath some of those ridges here as they kind of flatten out. We'll have drier than normal conditions here across the desert southwest into the Four Corners region, kind of inching its way toward the Texas Panhandle as well. Also a slightly drier than normal precipitation here, anomalies as you head up into the northeastern states as well, all the way through Wednesday here, May 4th. Then looking even farther out, this goes through here from Monday, May 2nd, all the way through Sunday, May 8th, the first full week of May. And you can see warmer than normal temperatures are expected here from Texas and portions of the Colorado Rockies down through Texas and the Gulf Coast states into Florida here through that time frame. Warmer than normal temperatures. You got another trough digging down here into the Pacific Northwest, into the desert Southwest. You have below normal below normal here temperature anomalies there, and also here below normal temperature anomalies with that low pressure system, and here's some more troughing here across the Northeast and Great Lakes region, and that'll only continue here into early May across those regions. And then you can see above normal precipitation across much of the northern plains, getting down to the mid-Mississippi Valley, and slightly above normal across portions of the southeast as well. And then with that troughing coming in here, above normal precipitation across the Pacific Northwest, and drier than normal across the Four Corners region, getting down to West Texas as we head through Sunday, May 8th. And then looking even farther out, the Climate Prediction Center's week 3 and 4 temperature outlook. This goes all the way through around the middle or so of May, 3/4 of the way through May. This is from May 7th through the 20th of May. And in general here, you can see above normal temperatures are expected across most of the desert Southwest over into Texas, the southern plains, and getting into the Gulf Coast states here into the southeast, where below normal temperatures can be expected into the upper Great Lakes, the upper Midwest, and kind of inching its way over here into the intermountain, the portions of the Northeast here. I cannot talk today here, but portions of the Northeast here as we head through May 7th and 20th. But in general, equal chances across the Central Plains into the Pacific Northwest and in through the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. And this is not to say it's going to be below normal entirely through May across portions here of the upper Great Lakes into the Midwest and the Northeast states, or entirely above normal here the entire time across the Southern Plains. But in general, most of the time here, this is what can be expected through May. And same thing with the precipitation outlook. You're showing above normal precipitation here possible across the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, getting up into the Northeast. Below normal precipitation can be expected across the desert Southwest, the Intermountain West, getting down into West Texas here, going through most of May here, with equal chances kind of in between across the northern and central plains, getting back up into the Pacific Northwest. So I do appreciate you guys watching my video. Do be sure to like my video here. Give me a nice thumbs up. And if you have any questions, comments here, do drop them below, as well. I'll be here all day to answer those. And do remember to subscribe to my channel here. I'm trying to get over 100 here subscribers, so do please help me out. And I will catch you on the next video tomorrow here, as we'll look even longer range through May and into the specifics here as we head into late week. So thank you for watching, and have a great Monday, everybody.